Hi guys!
I am Michi Mandarosa.
I am Michi Magalaman.
I am Michi Pandaonan.
I am Michi Mandiose.
I am Michi Fuentes.
I am Michi Manlarete.
And we are Group 4.
Fallacies are mistaken beliefs based on unsound arguments. They derive from reasoning that is logically incorrect, thus undermining an argument's validity. Fallacies are difficult to classify due to their variety and application structures in different sense possible. Fallacies can be divided into two types: formal fallacies and informal fallacies. Fallacious arguments are being accepted by appearing to be better than it really. Some fallacies are committed intentionally to manipulate or persuade by deceptions, while others are committed unintentionally due to carelessness or ignorance. Aristotle was the first to systemize logical errors into a list, as being able to refute an opponent's thesis is a way of winning an argument.
Let's discuss what is fallacies. Fallacies are derived from the Latin word fallo, which means I deceive. It's a deceptive argument that seems to be conclusive, but is actually not. Either its sequence seems to be valid, but is actually invalid, or else premises seems to be true, but is actually false on appearance. Of validity and truth essential to a fallacy, for it will deceive no one unless it at least seems to be valid or true. It is sometimes applied to ambiguous some statements that are not actually part of argument. The reason for this is that they might be understood in a sense which they are not true and thus may occasion of deception.
There are three ways to test argument for fallacies. Using ethos, logos, and pathos to test arguments for fallacies. One way to go about evaluating an argument for fallacies is to return to the concept of the three fundamental appeals: ethos, logos, and pathos. Pathos is an argument that appeals to ethics, authority, and or credibility. Logos is an argument that appeals to logic. Pathos is an argument that appeals to emotion. Fallacies of pathos relate to the credibility. These fallacies may apparently build up the credibility of the author or his allies, or apparently attack the credibility of the author's opponent or his allies. Some fallacies give an unfair advantage to the claims of the speaker or writer, or an unfair disadvantage to his opponent's claims. These are fallacies of logos. Fallacies of pathos rely excessively upon emotional appeals, attaching positive association to the author's argument and negative ones to his opponent's position.
There are two types of fallacies. First is formal fallacy and second is informal. So first is, what is formal fallacy? Formal fallacy or deductive fallacy occur when the conclusion doesn't allow the premise. These are often referred to as non-sequiturs or conclusions that have nothing to do with initial claims. In informal fallacy, the pattern of reasoning seems logical but is also always wrong. They are fallacies of structures of an argument. Modus ponens is the confirmation of the antecedent. In contrast to this rule is a fallacy already. This is an example of fallacy of confirming the consequent. First is if A, then B, but B, so A. Next is if A, then B, but not A, so not B. Fallacy of denying the antecedent. If good intentions make good sermons, then Father Bolasilo is a good preacher. Unfortunately, they don't. Therefore, Father Bolasilo is not a good preacher.
Let's proceed to the informal fallacy. In constructing of a formal fallacy, an informal fallacy originates the reasoning or error that flow the logical from the arguments and deductive arguments. Containing informal fallacy will be not formal. Truth from the arguments may be relevant fallacy and the type mistake reasoning from the mishandling content of the positioning constituting of the arguments. Informal fallacy takes me form and behavior in everyday discourse very often that involve bearing relevant information into the arguments or there are based on assumption that example based on the arguments and formal fallacy are created with the relationship between the premise and conclusion does not hold up or when the premise of unsound informally fallacy are more dependent or issue of the language of the evidence.
Formal fallacy, deductive fallacy, logical fallacy or non-sequitur is a flaw in the structure of a deductive argument which renders the arguments invalid. The term logical fallacy is in a sense self-contradictory because logic refers to the valid reasoning, whereas fallacy is the use of poor reasoning. Therefore, the term formal fallacy is preferred in informal discourse. However, logical fallacy is used to mean an argument which is problematic for any reasoning. And this is the example of formal fallacies. Appeal to probability. This is a statement that takes something for granted because it is probable or possible. I see a dark cloud on the horizon. Dark clouds mean rain. It's going to the rain here today. Bad reasons fallacy, also known as argumentum and ad logicam. In this type of fallacy, the conclusion is assumed to be bad because the arguments are bad. Her new boyfriend drives an old car. He must be poor. She should break up with him. Maskman fallacy, also known as the international fallacy, it involves a substitution of parties. If the two things that are encouraged are identical, then the argument is assumed to be valid. Jeremy's private investigator reported that a man with a bird was having dinner with his wife. Jeremy's best friend Rooney has a bird. Therefore, Rooney is having an affair with Jeremy's wife. Non-sequitur, a fallacy wherein someone asserts a conclusion that does not follow from the proposition. All the Dubliners are from Ireland. Ronan is not a Dubliner, therefore he is not Irish.
Let's proceed to the informal fallacies. Informal fallacies or inductive fallacies abound. Not only are we more likely to come across them than formal fallacies, their variations are endless. While formal fallacies are identified through an examination of statement or claim, informal fallacies are identified through supporting evidence. In these instances, the statement or claim is not supported with adequate reasons for acceptance. A strong inductive argument follows this pattern. The sun has not exploded for its existence. Therefore, the sun will not explode tomorrow. Subcategory of informal fallacies. There are so many varieties of informal fallacies, they can be broken down into subcategories. Let's examine some of those subcategories. There are three subcategories of informal fallacies. The first is fallacy involving ambiguity. The second is fallacy involving unwarranted assumptions. And lastly, the fallacies involving irrelevant premises. There are so many types of subcategories, but I will only give 3 examples. Let's discuss the fallacy involving ambiguity. Number 1, equivocation. Consists in using a word that has the same meaning or sound but different in meaning in parts of an argument. The word we need not to be equivocal term in the strict sense. The ambiguous use of an analogous term or a change in the way a term is used can suffice. Number 2, amphiboly is similar to equivocation except that the double meaning is due to the syntactic efficiency. Number 3, composition. This is the fallacy assuming that a group as a whole will have the same attribute as the individual that comprise it. And lastly, division. This fallacy is the reverse of the fallacy of composition. The fallacy of division involves an invalid inference from the nature of the whole to the nature of its member. Let's proceed to fallacy involving unwarranted assumptions. Number 1, begging the question. An argument begs the question when it assumes the point to be passed. Number 2, false dilemma. The fallacy of fact dilemma occurs when one uses a premise that unjustifiably reduces the number of alternatives to be considered. Number 3, appeal to unreliable authority. Is an appeal to an authority when the reliability of the authority may be reasonably doubted. Number 4, fallacy of false cause. It occurs when one possible cause of a phenomenon is assumed to be cause, although reasons are lacking for excluding the possible causes. The last subcategory of informal fallacy I will discuss is the fallacy involving irrelevant premises. Number 1, argument against a person. It involves attacking a person who advances an argument as opposed of providing a rational critique of the argument itself. Number 2, appeal to force. This fallacy arises when the opponent is suppressed by physical or psychological force. Here, the opponent is coerced to accept a view. When rational method fails, this is used as the last resort. It means might is right. Number 3, appeal to the people. A fallacy is committed when one attempts to win popular assent to a conclusion by using persuasive emotional language or claiming assertion is true on the basis of popular opinion. Number 4, appeal to pity. This fallacy committed when one pleads for mercy. It consists the point in question. Appeal to ignorance. This fallacy means argument from ignorance. It consists in throwing the burden to the opponent. A proposition is considered true simply on the ground that it has not been proven false, or that it is false because it has not been proven true by the opponent. Hi guys! I am Midshipman Kalaman.
I am Midshipman Dawan.
Hi guys!
Midshipman Arosa.
I am Midshipman Kalaman. Hi guys!
Midshipman Arosa.
Hi guys!
I am Midshipman Arosa.
I am Melvin Jan Kalaman.
I am Midshipman Dawan.
I am
Siyaw, ito mabuli ang tayo. Hi guys!
I am Midshipman Arosa.
Google it, you know?